Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing there.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
But a lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill. Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back. I love.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, welcome into a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders, right here live on YouTube. If you don't mind, hit that like button, share button, comment button, as we'll be here with you past 8 o'clock this morning. We're going to talk to Reed Vial, who is he's manager down there at McNeese. Will Wade basketball camp coming up 8 o'clock this morning. He'll be through here, talk to us about what the transition has been like over to Lake Charles. We'll also talk to Jason Ramazan, our friend from Metropolitan Health Group. Remember, real doctors, real solutions over at Metropolitan Health Group. They bring you our phone line. Mr. Fun's Travel has put together a package for Orlando to go watch the Tigers play in Orlando against Florida State in the season opener. We'll get you all of those details. If you're ready to book your trip, you'll be able to do that through Mr. Fun's Travel and Jason Ramazan, as they have put together the 2023 kickoff season. The package includes round-trip air transportation from New Orleans to Orlando on Southwest, airport hotel transfers, a 3-night hotel stay at the Hilton Orlando. You'll get, let's see here, do you need tickets? I don't see tickets. If there's tickets,
tickets, going once, going twice, tickets.
Ramo, if there's tickets, text me. I don't see tickets, but get you there. And a typical Mr. Fun's travel package, man.
Comes with tickets?
It's awesome. It's the way to go. They get you there. They take care of everything. All you got to do is pack your bags and show up. And so check them out, Mr. Fun's Travel. We'll get you that information coming up in the second hour this morning. With Jason Ramazan. Nathan Velasquez will be here in his typical 8:30 spot on Fridays, talking about the latest over in Hollywood and the movies, so we'll catch up with that. Last night, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, as the Nuggets win by 11 over the Miami Heat. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray combined for 53 points for the Nuggets as they take Game 1, so the Nugget superstars showing up in Game 1. Jokic makes it look so easy, man. I mean, like, the game just is it's Shaquille O'Neal with a jump shot. I mean, like, it's Shaquille O'Neal with Magic Johnson handles. It's Shaquille O'Neal with,
if he never got
LeBron vision. I mean, his ability to pass and how easy he makes the game of basketball look playing against professionals is, man, I mean, that is the best player in the world. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, I don't hate to say it. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, Jokic he's a freak. I mean, you know, Giannis.
Unicorn.
Giannis was kind of the guy that everybody was chasing a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. I mean, it is now Nikola Jokic. I mean, the way he plays basketball, it's rare to see somebody that it comes that easy to. I mean, everything, dribbling, passing, shooting, rebounding. I mean, moving up and down the floor. It doesn't even look like he's moving yet. He's covering all this ground. It's It's fun to watch him play.
And
So
they were talking on the broadcast last night that they were like, and don't get it twisted, just because of the way he's physically shaped, that he's one of the most in-shape players in the league, which I was like,
absolutely.
I thought that was the biggest knock on him, was that he labors up and down the court, but he's like, no, he just plays at his own pace. It's a little bit like Luka, where Luka, I guess it's like a European basketball thing where they just kind of play at their own pace and style. It's a bit like soccer, where everybody has their own tempo to the game, and it just, whenever they come to America, whether it be Dirk, Luka, I mean, you could put Giannis in that category, but he's more of a traditional basketball player in terms of what it looks like. It comes up and it messes up the entire flow of the NBA in a good way if you have it, but a terrible way if you're on defense, because he's a threat every time he has the ball, and he has the ball the entire game.
It really is unreal.
You said Shaq, and that's who he reminded me of. Obviously, Shaq was probably the best athlete in the country for a 10-year stretch.
In the world.
Right, yeah. Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
But if Shaq was didn't have quite the explosiveness, but never got up to that weight that he got up to in Los Angeles, the early Orlando Shaq, where you could run the court and handle the ball and dribble and pass, and he was leading the break.
Yeah.
And it felt like that was just the best version of, it felt like at the time there was no reason for Shaq to change his game. Obviously the game changed with Shaq and he became the most dominant player maybe ever. But I just liked seeing him play that way, and when you see Jokic, it looks like that, but in a different way, where a big man is settling and running the tempo of the entire game. He orchestrates the whole game, whether it be on defense or offense.
He's fun to watch, man. So NBA Finals last night, Nuggets take a 1-0 lead over the Heat with Game 2 coming up on Sunday. All right, so news yesterday out of the SEC meetings down in Destin that the league has settled on an 8-game schedule here for a short time, a temporary vote that came down to the 8 or 9 game schedule. Only 5 programs. They needed the majority of the 14 league schools to vote on the scheduling model, and 5 programs voted for a 9-game format. One of them was LSU, Texas A&M, Georgia, Florida, and Missouri. The other ones. It's crazy that we heard Nick Saban stomp and complain about a 9-game schedule for so long, and finally he gets a vote and he votes for 8. I mean, that was. I mean, how long have we heard Saban get to SEC media days on SEC spring meetings talk about how the league needs a 9-game schedule? He gets a vote and he goes with 8.
He's not as good as he was 3 years ago.
LSU was one of those, but they're going to stick a lot like what we talked about yesterday. For the short time, they're going to stick with an 8-game model to, wait and see. They're just kind of waiting and seeing what this 12-team format's going to look like, what the criteria is going to be. Obviously, the goal at the end of the day is to put as many teams into the field as they can. So, without committing to anything long-term, they settled on the 8-game format for at least a season before they have the opportunity to kind of reconvene next year and talk it out. And that will be with, Texas and Oklahoma having a voice in the room. They had presence there this year. Next year at this time, they'll have votes. They'll have voting power as they'll enter the league officially on July 1st of 2024. So, look, everybody's watching the SEC. Everybody's looking at the SEC. Everybody's kind of wanting to, watch and copy what they're doing. And yeah, you can't really make a permanent move until you understand what the lay of the land is, and it's just not defined on exactly what has to play out to get his the bids to the 12-team playoff. I'm not surprised at all that this was the outcome. I think we said yesterday that expect it to be an 8-game short-term solution, and then eventually they'll get to that 9-game model at some point, and I would assume probably sooner rather than later. It does preserve some of the primary traditions of the SEC in this 8-game schedule. If they were to commit to it long term, you would lose the secondary. LSU is gonna get Texas A&M out of this, which I thought Texas A&M would get Texas in this scenario. But in this one season without Texas being here, LSU is going to be there. So obviously you've got like Auburn and Alabama and Auburn, Georgia. But I mean, like the Auburn, Georgia game, the Alabama, Tennessee game, those secondary traditions. I mean, you lose those on an 8-game format, which it sounds like Greg Sankey really wants to preserve. So that's the way they'll play next year. And I said that, I believe that they'll get to a 9-game schedule at some point, probably in the next 3 years. And for where they are right now and what you understand as, kind of the format of how they play, this makes the most sense, in my opinion.
I think the reason that they didn't do it, right, is what the Georgia AD said was probably the most prominent thing. Whenever, he went, it's like, let's get down to brass tacks, where he was saying, hold on, let me find it real quick. He was, essentially he broke it down to why would we add an extra game without any extra revenue? It comes down because they already agreed to a deal in principle with ESPN, and apparently there was a loophole in the contract that it said if they added another game, then it could be a rising cost throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But they didn't account for adding Oklahoma and Texas, and so now it becomes this thing of, okay, we want a 9-game schedule, but we added these 2 teams, and they're trying to operate in good faith by saying, obviously, if we add Oklahoma and Texas, there's going to be more games, more revenue. What do you think about that? And it's a bad look on ESPN, apparently, to make a new deal with all the layoffs that they're going through at the time. So they're like, we can't really allocate more spending towards a product that we already invested in with us still trying to save face of signing Pat McAfee to a new contract, doing all these things, and then we're laying off employees that have been there for 50 years. And so they were just trying to, I guess, PR it a little bit. So that's the biggest interest in my mind is it's kind of the SEC putting their foot down a little bit, saying, hey, why would we give you a free game for what? This whole thing's about money. We made that very clear. Y'all made that very clear. And we're giving you a product. We're not going to give it to you for free. So I think that's where the SEC, they don't want to talk about it because it makes you look a little disgusting. It's not about the sport anymore. But that has to be the main reason as to why would we give you something that you're not paying for?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, that is what it is about. Follow the dollar.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. It's not that you can wave your hand in front of me all you want, but I'm looking at the numbers. And when it comes down to it, if you want something, you're not going to get anything for free, especially from the SEC and Sankey, they've done excellent business. That's pretty much. And Sankey said some things about, look, if you start chasing the dollar, that's not how good businesses work. You're essentially kicking the can down the road to chase a bigger paycheck, which is not a bad business strategy at all. And ESPN is going to see the numbers. And by the time that this thing rolls in you get a Oklahoma, Texas they like to play that thing at 11 a.m. You put that on ESPN instead of that's the biggest game that Fox ever carried. And now okay, you obviously need to pay for this product. So I think that it's a long-term play by the SEC, and then you'll see ESPN have to belly back up on the table. And they might do it quietly, but I think this is the right move in my mind. It might, I guess, kind of eschew the short term, but you got to play the long game in this scenario, at least to me.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. I mean, I think that's all things that make sense. I mean, you put that stuff up on a board, and that's a lot where people are going to follow because that's where the money is, and that's ultimately what this whole thing is about. So that was decided yesterday down in Destin at the SEC spring meetings, as they will be under the format of an 8-game schedule here coming up in the 2023 season for football. And on the football field here in Baton Rouge, it begins a humongous month for LSU football. And if you're someone who follows recruiting, if you're someone who follows, obviously, football religiously and are obsessive about it, you know that over the month of June is camp month at LSU, and everybody who is anybody who is everybody in recruiting is on LSU's campus. And if you've seen some of the names that are going to be here, LSU's offensive line, defensive line camp opens up today on campus. Right now, people are flooding into LSU football ops, checking in, and LSU is in a major evaluation period of recruiting. If you were able to check out the Brian Kelly interview, we asked him specifically about how the schedule has changed for college football coaches, for the way that college football business is done. You know, I mean, the month of May, he spent the majority of the time doing what he did with us, interviews, traveling around the state. The day before that interview, he was up in Shreveport and traveled over to, Shreveport, Bossier area, and was talking to a room full of boosters and supporters about the advantages of NIL and how they could get involved. So it's more about education and building knowledge for people that are supporting LSU football. The month of June is gas pedal down to the floor, 100 miles an hour, full speed ahead recruiting, evaluation, building relationships, solidifying relationships, closing on relationships. All that goes into recruiting starts for LSU today. This is about to be a big month for LSU on the practice field, and they put a huge emphasis on guys working out. I mean, I think everybody knows now by the famous story of Christian Harris. Did he win the Butkus Award, or was he a finalist at Alabama?
I think he won it.
I think he won it too. I think he won it his sophomore year.
Yeah.
But
he was the best player on the defense.
But Christian Harris was he was a two-way player at University High School. I mean, he was on LSU's campus, and they didn't offer him. They didn't offer him like a committable offer, and people were like, "Well, why not?" And Ogeron was like, "He won't work out at camp." And Harris's people were like, "Well, we got offers from everybody in the country." And Ogeron and the crew were steadfast that he had to work out. He didn't work out. He didn't have a committable offer to LSU. I mean, it was he goes to Alabama and he starts as a true freshman on a national championship team. I mean, that season, the linebacking core for Alabama was
2/3 Baton Rouge.
Dylan Moses and
Christian Harris.
And Christian Harris, they both went to U-High.
That was probably one of the darker times.
And both of them were Butkus Award finalists at one point. Yeah. And Harris won it.
No, he didn't win.
He didn't win it.
He didn't win it.
Okay.
Okay. But they were both finalists.
Yeah, we were both finalists.
But that's kind of that crazy story of like, well, how'd this guy get away? Well, he wouldn't work out at camp. Like, say what?
I saw Christian Harris at Bootleggers tryout one year.
Oh, Coach,
And like, he was probably the biggest one out there, but he was probably the most fluid athlete out there.
Oh my God. I mean,
and he was lining up at receiver. Like, it wasn't like
he never played linebacker before
his
until
senior
he got to
year.
Alabama.
I called University High football all 3 years that he played at U-High. I mean, like, he was on a team full of freaks.
And he was
like Mike Collins, Jaquelin Roy was on those teams. Dylan Moses was on those early teams that he was on. I mean, he was the freak of all freaks. Like, he was the guy that was returning punts and, like, playing linebacker.
Yeah.
You could put him in a slot. You could put him at running back. You could put him at tight end. You could put him at defensive end. You could put him safety. I mean, he was the opening kickoff of the Catholic High game his senior year. He took it to the house. I mean, like, I bet you I can find the video and send it to you, Stewie. We can play it on the air. I mean, it is.
Did he play? He played safety at U-High.
He played safety at U-High.
Because that was part of the thing, is that he was almost positionless because he did so many things in high school, and then you can put probably 15 pounds of good weight on this kid and put him at linebacker, and he'll be a freak.
Well, that's the thing about it. You could do anything with him.
Yeah,
you could do anything with him. But so like he was the story. Like, if you don't work out, you can't get an offer. Which everybody was like, how does that happen? But I mean, coaches are pretty relentless. They want to see you work out. They want to see where they're going to use you. They want to see how they're going to use you. And that goes a long way of doing that.
When you say work out, that's just like go through like one-on-one drills.
It's just an individual, like, hey, put this helmet on. Come run through these drills for me. Like, I want to see if you can play linebacker in the SEC. I want to see if we can put you at defensive end. I want to see, you know what I mean? Like, they're just testing to see.
I found it.
You found it? I mean, he's gone. Like, and you know, as soon as he touches it, he's gone. He's gone.
But what's the rub? If Christian Harris doesn't want to work out, is it because look?
I think I've always kind of been under the assumption that there has to be a
dividing line of.
Well, there has to be a group of players that you're like, look, you don't have to see him work out.
Yeah,
you know
didn't ask me to work out.
Just make sure and get him on get him here.
Roll off the red carpet, not this is a work day.
Get the commitment,
right?
You know what I mean? And then once he gets here, you're like, hey, look, we don't know where we're going to use you, but we're about to.
Yeah,
you can.
We want you here. We just don't know where yet. Like, let's run through a couple bag drills and we'll figure it out. And that's part of the tenure where Ed after this, whenever it got dark, he started to go like workouts only, like workout heavy.
Yeah. I mean, it got to there has to be a fine line of.
Look,
he doesn't want to work out.
You don't have to see
what do you mean he doesn't want to work out? He just doesn't want to work out. Okay, well, I mean, like, we'd really like you to work out. They'd really like you to work out. I'm not working out. All right, take the kid. You know what I mean? But, like, you need to understand, like, when we take you, we don't know what we're going to do with you.
Let's start off on the wrong foot.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what I mean? That's how it was. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of it was. Gone, Stewie. Gone. He makes one move. Look at that catch.
and he's got to keep it in or else that's a touchback.
He's got to keep it in as a touchback.
Kicker
right
did his job.
Here,
gone. Oh, kicker. I get a shot.
I mean, look how big he is. Moving. Look, I mean, he's
Arms
running away
and
from people.
Legs. That kicker did his job. He thought, all right, start this championship off on the right foot, get a touchback, put him on the 25.
Wait, was that the state championship?
Oh, it wasn't?
No,
that's what I was about to ask.
It's a regular season game.
No,
I mean,
just taking one to the hizzy.
But this month at LSU is, and it starts really today. I don't know when. I guess this has started here recently. When they started doing so many official visits in the summer. You know, like if I'm LSU, I'm holding my official visits so I can take them to a game. You know, like you want the official visit to be the Florida game this year, right?
I think the reason they did that was because of early signing period. Like a lot of kids want to take their officials like in the summer so they can make a decision before. So they could have their decision already made before their senior season.
And then I'd imagine, I mean, this might be a stretch, but with NIL, you could probably get an unofficial taken care of.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be NIL because they're in high school, but I'd imagine with the money that's around, it's so hard to keep track of it that I don't think they have to pay on their own dime anymore.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, you got on official visits this summer, or not even this summer, this month in June. Like, this weekend, you got a 5-star offensive tackle in Jonathan Daniels in town. At the end of the summer, you got LSU's top running back on their board this year in Caden Durham on the board. I mean, you've got like some big-time dudes coming in officially in the month of June. I just don't remember seeing as many. I mean, guys that are out of state, guys that are, not from Louisiana, I get. I mean, you may not be able to make it back for a weekend and you really want to, dive into the official visit where you can meet with, everybody from academic counselors to the trainers on the football team. And maybe in season, if you have a game on a Friday night and you have to, travel in late Friday, get here Saturday, the game's on Saturday, you wake up early Sunday. It's just you got to stuff everything in to a game weekend. I get the official visit in the summertime, but I mean, if you're a local kid, if you're from somebody that's around, for instance, Jonathan Daniels, the 5-star offensive tackle, he's from Pensacola. I mean, what's Pensacola here, door to door? 3.5 hours?
Yeah.
4 hours?
4 hours at the max.
At the max. You know what I mean? Like,
I
can get Jonathan Daniels here if I'm LSU
in 2 hours.
Whenever I really want him to be here. If he's, I got to imagine that Jonathan Daniels, an offensive tackle 5-star, is very high on LSU's board, and he's within a 4-hour radius of a drive. And look, this is I'm not making a big deal out of this. But, I mean, I'm just looking at official visits in the summer when you're LSU, when you want to show that environment on a Saturday night off, right? I mean, how many guys have you closed if you're LSU inside Death Valley on a Saturday night?
Oh, here's why. Here we go. Beginning July 1st, 2023, recruits will no longer have a limit on the number of official visits they can make to D1 schools. They have an unlimited.
Wait, say it again?
Recruits they now have unlimited official visits.
So they could take one now and take one in.
Oh, sweet.
Sweet. No strategy. Just
Never
come
mind.
on.
Yeah, right. Never mind.
Let's go to break. Trying to build up a straw man.
So
We might have a story.
We might have a story
wait,
here.
You can bring Jonathan Daniels on an official visit as many times as
As
you
many
want?
times as you want.
As many times as he wants.
So there's no more unofficial visits, technically.
But I think the school might
Hell
have
yeah.
A limit.
The school might
Yeah, it
have
has
a
to.
number.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
like a quota that they can't hit.
Yeah, well, it's probably a cost,
Yeah.
P&L sheets. How many? I mean, this kid wants to come 10 times.
TV.
Lucius Felder says, you don't settle. Everyone else worked out. Why not him? It all worked out. That's one way to look at it, man. If you want to stay headstrong on it, and I'm not knocking it, because I agree with you. It did work out for everyone. I just think if you're LSU, you can't lose a kid like Christian Harris that's at U High to Alabama over a
something,
workout.
yeah,
You know
that
what I mean?
trivial.
Like, that can't happen. But I get it. Yeah, I understand.
What was that? What, 3 straight U-High linebackers went to Alabama?
Tim Williams, Dylan Moses.
and then Christian
Just
Harris.
building that pipeline.
But if you're LSU in that run, you pick up Devin White and Patrick Queen. You know, what I mean, it's like it's not like you got
We didn't
you
get
got
the
shredded
short
on
end of
it.
the stick.
You know, I mean, like
They're
for
all-
as bad as that could have been. I mean, Devin White ended up winning the Butkus.
Yes, he did. Yes.
You know, and could have been an All-American running back.
Yeah.
and they have Patrick Queen. That's the
Right. I mean,
The head-
first round pick.
yeah.
Defensive MVP.
I mean, what was Christian Harris? Christian Harris a third round pick. Mm-hmm. Patrick Queen's a first round pick.
It all worked out.
I mean, Devin White's a top 5 pick. Dylan Moses goes undrafted.
We'll take it.
You know what I mean? Patrick Queen's a starting linebacker on the best college football team ever.
Yeah.
The big winner in all this was Jacob Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob
Biggest-
Phillips.
He got drafted.
And Jacob Phillips, too.
Still on there.
Because that would have been Christian Harris.
I mean, that was a Jamal Adams type replacement for Hootie Jones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You lose Dylan Moses and get Jacob Phillips, you're like,
Oh, all right, we'll take the 5-star
all right.
from Tennessee.
All right. Yeah.
That's fine. It's cool.
Charlie Ogle, isn't there an important baseball game today? Yeah, Charlie.
yeah, something like that.
What else you want to say about it?
I mean, there's
We don't know who's
Thatcher
throwing,
Hurd's going
you
to
bum.
start.
we don't know.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I think Thatcher Hurd's going to start, and Tulane's wearing Cinderella. They're wearing Cinderella's slipper.
Like to see a pumpkin. And if you want your baseball talk, Mic'd Up goes early today, 11:30.
Nice.
So we'll be able to get there, give you like hours preview.
Do it there.
No,
No. I think you
the
said you were
moving
gonna get
parts.
there.
No, we'll be here in the studio 11:30. Then we'll go out to the game. But so for all your baseball needs and content, you'll get it mic'd up at 11:30 this afternoon.
So if LSU wins today, they play 8:00 tomorrow night versus Oregon State, or the winner of Oregon State and Sam Houston.
Sam
that's
Houston's
tonight at
sneaky
8?
good.
That's tonight at 8:00.
Yes,
Sam Houston is sneaky good. Like, I don't know.
but I think it was. We talked about why LSU picked the 2 p.m. game versus the 8 p.m. game, and obviously
That's a lot of waiting.
that's a lot of waiting. But it's not as big of a turnaround time as you would think for if you play at 8:00 and you play at 8:00 again. It's more for, I'd imagine, the loser of that game that has to get up and play at 2 is in a bit of a pickle. But I think it's more so for whoever they throw, if it's Thatcher, Ty, whomever. I think it's kind of just ease them in, 2 p.m. It's not bright lights, the box. You save that for Skeens at 8 at Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so I think it's kind of a smart, whether it be a timing thing or just look, let's settle and play an afternoon game. I know he said that, Jay, was like, we treated every game this year like a playoff game, which I do feel like is true until they got to Hoover and we're like, all right, we're in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But if you truly meant that, I guess you would play, keep your Friday schedule where you'd play a night game. But I think the strategy-wise for Jay to go 2:00, you sneak in Thatcher, take some pressure off of him, take some pressure off the whole lineup, and then you're able to get, because you would have to imagine that even Jay probably has some nerves. It's as prepared as I know he is, but it's his first regional at home at the box. Like, that means a lot to him for as much as he knows about LSU baseball, as much as he's seen with Skip and as much as he's heard about the legend of Alex Box and all of these things, and it's kind of like Brian Kelly was in his first Alabama game, where you think you know the experience until you get in there, and then you're like, you take a second, look around, and like, okay, this is what I came here for.
Right.
That's why Brian Kelly's enamored with the Alabama game. He won't stop mentioning it. He loves it.
Yeah, he
because
does.
I mean, it's his best memory probably of his coaching career.
Yeah.
And especially for somebody that
Never beat Bama before.
that's what I was saying, that lost to him in a natty and got smoked.
I mean, they didn't even look like they deserved to be on the same field as them.
Jeez.
I mean, 3 minutes in, Brent Musburger's hitting on the fans. I mean,
Oh my
he was like, we gotta boost the ratings here.
Get some crowd shots.
Look at that blue pill over there, Kirk. Watch me work.
What a fine young woman.
Jesus. Brent.
4th down and 9.
Tide, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why you become the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. Good Lord.
Musburger just went full perv on him on national TV,
Was
dude.
Kirk in the booth with him or
Yes,
Fowler? And Kirk?
absolutely. It was Kirk. Kirk's just sitting there like,
Let him
yo,
go."
dude, man, we got brands to uphold here, dude.
He didn't bail him out at all.
Just let him roll. I mean, at that point, I mean,
in sales
I
territory.
can't step in front of this bus.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this thing's rolling downhill.
The less smiles with the peephole. Like, what do you want me to contribute to this? Like, I feel like I did pretty good there.
Where do you want me
And
to go
then
with this?
I mean, like, it started early with Brent too. He used to get after the the Florida State fan that Favre flashed the
Berger.
the girl that wore that
Jen
the cowboy
Berger?
hat.
Yeah, Jen Sturger, something like that.
They showed her, and he was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, 10,000 males have just applied for Florida State."
That is the peak of like early college
No
football,
doubt,
though. She was in every promo.
She was in every shot. Like,
she was on game. I mean, she was
like,
on EA Sports. It's like, that's college football. Cut off T-shirt.
It's in the game.
Cannons and the straw hat. You're just like, oh my god.
Go Knowles.
I'm 7. Yeah.
How do you get into Florida State, Mom?
Who's that? Like, I don't know.
Musburger.
Brett was watching.
Musburger.
You gotta do.
Red-blooded Americans all over the country are enrolling into Florida State right now. I mean, it was just like, damn, Brent.
I mean, great work for the cameraman. He's got to be working overtime. If you got Brent on the call, it's like, look, we're gonna need a couple of things. So
right.
you're gonna love.
Hey,
the
look, if this
assignment.
thing gets out of hand,
Get that B-roll ready.
they got a brunette sitting in section 212 that I've already picked out that we can go in on.
got one on the east and one on the west. I don't know what to say.
Oh, Shrewd's like, yeah, get me out of here.
Yeah, I mean,
Get me
look.
back to the game, Brent. Get me out of here.
If you can find the Sturger call, oh my god.
Oh, it should be that hard.
No,
I mean,
this is an all-timer.
just Google Brent Musburger.
Yeah, it's Florida State.
I mean, what was our guy? Who's our guy?
He has so many. Holly Rose smoking. Like, there's so many.
Is it Mark Jackson? I'd knock her out the park, respectfully. Not about LeBron James' wife. Oh
God, dude. Musburger.
There's a little video.
What did the play-by-play for the Raiders? I think
He said he's doing he lives in Vegas now. Once it became legal, that was the other problem that they had with Brent. He kept sneaking it in there.
Oh, but it got to a point where he wasn't sneaking.
No, he was just it was like in the first quarter. He was like, "Fuck."
That really affected some people watching this game.
Oh, that might mean it's over for some people.
Yeah, right.
Over for you, Brent.
Yeah.
Bookie's calling already.
I'm
Did
moving
you
to
find
Beachton.
the Florida State one? Musburger.
I just got to see that
What a-
big
what a-
club.
what a
I mean,
classic.
this is peak college
What year
football.
is this? This is like what? Early
This has
2000s?
to be early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a core memory for me.
Right.
I found out a lot about myself.
Right.
Found out exactly what I
Yeah.
like.
Big straw hat guy.
Yeah. I was wondering why I still like that.
1,500 red-blooded Americans just decided to apply to Florida State.
Look, shout her again.
Florida State will take this, Gary, and looking down the road, I thought that...
Oh my God.
I mean, there has to be a bit where they just like give him a little
Just do it, dude.
lob,
Flash the crowd. Flash the crowd.
lob
Hit
that
the crowd.
softball up for him. Tee it
What's
up.
the score right there, Stewie?
10-7.
Okay,
you're
still
in
got
the
a game, man.
10-7
Still
in the third.
game. Musburger
In the third.
in the third.
Well, yeah,
He can't help himself.
Mus was getting a little sleepy.
Yeah, right.
Wake the
Give me a
old man-
crowd shot, boys.
Wake the old man up. Yeah, correct me if I'm not mistaken. Who's that broad? Pete Rose. Oh my God! It's like, Pete, you can't say that anymore. It's like, who cares?
Nobody's listening.
He's doubling down. Oh my
man,
God,
dude. LSU plays at 2:00 today. As I was getting to about the recruiting period, though, if you are into recruiting, college football recruiting, on LSU's campus today, starting today through the weekend, there are camps, and this is a huge evaluation period for LSU, for programs all over the country, but specifically here at LSU. And as you know, LSU has done over the last couple of years, or really now for the a while now, they have attracted the biggest names. I mean, still to this day, I've gone to. I remember going to this camp when Leonard Fournette was there. I remember going to this camp when like Jarvis Landry and Jeremy Hill and Lyle Collins and Anthony Freak Johnson were there. I mean, this camp has attracted the who's who of recruiting, and still to this day, Stewie, it might have been. Was it me and you watching Quincy Wiggins and Will Campbell 2 years ago?
Are you talking about last year fall camp? Or was
No.
last year?
The last year at the offensive lineman, defensive lineman senior camp where Campbell and Wiggins were going into their senior year, and they had the one-on-one. And remember we had Sonny Ship on, and like the next day, and I was like, Sonny, we were there. Like, what was that like? He's like, that's the best.
Oh, good on good.
He was like, that's the best one-on-one matchup I've ever seen. He's like, that was, and it was like these two cats were getting after it, man.
Was this still when
this was Brad Davis's first day on the job.
Oh yeah, O was still here.
They had fired James Craig the weekend of the camp, and they were able to get Will Campbell and Quincy Wiggins down here. Ogeron is like in full O mode. Like this is when he's at his best.
I remember he was like 3-point stance.
Like, this is when he's at his best. I mean, like this is peak Ogeron. Like at camp, whistle in the mouth. I mean, just like absolutely.
Where your daddy at?
Yeah, like buzzing. I mean, just buzzing off a Red Bull.
Nothing gets his jollies hotter
I mean,
than
like this is peak. This is peak O, bro.
I'm
like,
a win.
I mean, like just shorts, a dry fit, shoes, and a whistle. You know what I mean? Like
I'm about to take my shirt off.
Absolutely.
And one-on-one.
Look at all these moms here too. This is a great day. Like bring the moms closer. Like let them hear us.
Let your kids run a drill.
It was, and Wiggins and Campbell in just helmets.
I remember the video.
Coach, it was the baddest one-on-one I have. And let me tell you something, bro. These cats were going full speed because there was adrenaline pumping. The whole camp stopped.
Right.
Everybody was watching.
Like the whole camp stopped. And I mean, who was the defensive line coach? It wasn't Meatball. It wasn't Dennis Johnson. It was but whoever it was is going back and forth with O. Like they're going like back and forth at one another, and Brad Davis is just like sitting there like,
did I walk into?
Oh my God! Like this is.
It's not how we did it at Arkansas.
This is football heaven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like look at these two just freaks going after one another, and like you'll have Colin Simmons, who is this year's version of Quincy Wiggins, probably a better football player, a better football prospect than Wiggins, but just as good of an athlete. And like we said, you've got a 5-star offensive tackle and a guy like Jonathan Daniels who's there. I mean, you get those types of, one-on-ones where you just show up and you're looking at the best offensive lineman and the best defensive lineman in the country.
D-line coach was Andre Carter.
Coach, he was getting down in his stance.
Jesus.
Didn't they put pads on him?
Yes, he put pads on like during practice.
Yeah, he would.
Like when LSU showed up, but during camp, I mean, people. He still looks like he can.
Yeah, he looked like he could play.
I mean, he still looks like he could get double-digit sacks.
Yeah.
Talk about
Like
making
the first time I met Karl Malone, the first time I saw Karl Malone, he was walking KJ's pit bull at the football ops, and he was walking like down the field in a cut-off shirt and like basketball shorts, and you're like, is that the mailman?
I sat next to him
and he's like walking at us, and it's me and T-Bob, and T-Bob is a huge Karl Malone fan, like a freak Karl Malone fan, so he's like freaking out. And like within like 10 feet, you're like, holy shit, that's Carl. Like this is Karl Malone. Like that's like vintage. I mean, it looks like 1988 Karl Malone. And I was like, mailman? He's like, yo. I said, bro, you look like you could get 30 tonight. And he said, I could if I had to. I was like,
what an answer!
I believe it. Like
Yeah.
never even blinked.
Still
like,
rocks the flip phone.
and like still rocking the flip phone. Andre Carter looks the exact same way. Like he looks as if he put it on a night, like he'd be a problem.
Just imagine the defensive line meetings with him and O.
Oh.
They probably like did one-on-ones.
Oh, I mean, even if I looked like Carter, I still wouldn't go one-on-one with O. Just he's got something deep down in his soul that is you can't fake it.
It's cooking.
Yeah,
all
like
the time.
He's got that cockroach blood, man. He just won't die.
Just like you could the hair stands up on the back of his neck. He turns into a werewolf. You're just like, so what happened?
Starts drooling at the
Hey, he
mouth.
turns green. Like
Oh God.
that's just some people when you see them and they got that look, you're just like, I'm good.
All right,
actually,
I'm gonna just keep it pushing. On
Yeah.
you.
But I'm telling you, man, LSU in this camp, it's awesome. I mean, it's great, especially if you're making a weekend out of like going to the box, and you're gonna be tailgating for the game today, the early start. Man, it's a good time to, and LSU loves people being there. It kind of plays for the aesthetic of recruiting, right? I mean, it kind of shows, just the passion of it.
that's probably why they're bringing in some like high value recruits today, because campus will be buzzing. It's going to look like it's a game day atmosphere essentially. If you're afternoon game, I know that, but when you get to Saturday and they're still on campus, you get to see the build up from Friday to Saturday. You're like, oh, they turn up like this for baseball,
Right.
Like, I feel like women's college basketball did a lot for recruiting,
Absolutely.
where they just saw the environment and they were like, oh my god, like
You think they did a lot?
Was Angel Reese? Was she in a Cardi B video?
Angel Reese is in a Cardi B video now, so
yeah, and she's in a commercial with
And she's with Sprite. She's
no,
endorsing
like the-
Sprite.
that's Mellow Yellow.
it's a company that's like
I mean, she was on a commercial in the NBA Finals
Yeah,
last
that's-
night.
with Zion and
Zion looked like
Zion.
they need a diet version of that drink. There's zero sugar because he was thick.
who else was in that commercial? It was Zion and somebody else that was like famous basketball player.
Angel Reese.
No, just Angel Reese too, but like it
I
was
don't know.
another basketball player.
Somebody went up there with him, and then obviously the lemon and the lime. You see Angel Reese made the half quarter in the commercial.
Oh yeah, in the commercial, yeah.
Oh yeah, because the girl challenged her to a shoot.
Yeah.
Um,
From what's the name of the drink? I'm not known for yet.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it looks like Sprite.
No,
And
no,
yeah,
no
yeah,
free ads.
but it's Mellow Yellow. It's their rebrand. You see
all
Van
right.
Lith?
Who?
Haley.
Yes,
She is a bully.
she
Bully
is,
ball,
bro.
coach.
I didn't know she was that big.
Still don't think she is. I think she just got gusto. Like she is puts her shoulder into you. Yeah,
I
she
mean-
built like a bulldog.
And
She plays like a bullet.
she does play like one, man. Those highlights of her. LSU's going to be awesome.
And you can't fake 3-on-3.
No.
Could be hard.
Where is she? Vienna? She's like in Austria
I don't know
somewhere.
where she is, but she is.
She's on like
Ballin'.
the USA 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna
But
be-
I think that's a bigger testament to one-on-one game than 5-on-5 is. Like you can get lost in 5-on-5 and find a bucket. She's the primary ball handler on that. Like she's
I
orchestrating
wonder
that
who's going
thing.
to be LSU's leading scorer next year.
It's gonna be tough.
Michaela
Reese.
Williams?
No.
No, I don't think
I
Angel
don't
Reese
think
will
Angel
be.
Reese will have to carry the load like she did this year.
I think she's just going to get somebody
Angel Reese
one-on-one.
is not. She needs to develop a mid-range game.
Yeah, like an outside game.
I mean, really, her points are trash points. Which I mean, like,
Yeah, but that's the
you can
rebounds.
make a ton of money and make a 12-year. I mean, the mailman.
Living off of it.
I mean, you make a living off of it,
Dennis
right?
Rodman.
I mean, but I mean, if you can rebound and finish like she
Develop
can,
like a skill set.
yeah. But if she had an 8-footer and pulled people away from the rim, and then because she's so athletic to get to the rim and finish. But I mean, if you've never seen Michaela Williams play,
Oh my goodness.
I
Get
mean,
ready.
she's a bucket.
Get ready.
Like she
I know.
is a bucket, and
I just wouldn't put that on a freshman.
I would. It's almost like you take pressure off of her with Van Lith.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. I'd say leading scorer. Like I don't
Yeah, yeah.
expect her to
I would
step
think-
into that role and drop 23 a night.
Yeah, I would think Mulkey would go like Van Lift, handle the ball, and then you put
Absolutely. I
Michaela
mean-
Williams at the 2.
Hey,
Let her,
no
like,
doubt.
Wing it. All right. Throw it out there on the
Flash
wing.
at
And
the 3.
shooting it.
I mean,
But then you got Nisa Morrow. Mm-hmm. Was she a forward?
She's a power forward. I mean,
right, so
her and Angel on the block.
Oh.
I don't know how you.
She might be the leading scorer.
I mean, they're going to be like South Carolina was last year on the block, where it's just going to be like, there's no way to rebound on these people.
We're going to get a rebound.
I mean, it's the Twin Towers. And, I mean, with the way that Angel Reese, the way she's got the best hands around the rim. Like, when the ball touches her hand, she, like, snatches it. Reminds me of Glenn Davis. Reminds me of, like, these people that, like, you see them snatch these rebounds and they'll grab it with one hand and, like, pop it in their hand where the ball just looks almost like an extension. Yeah, I mean, it's just almost like they're just kind of toying around with it. So, I mean, they're going to be tough, man. They're going to be so tough. All right, we'll be back. Second hour coming at you. We're going to lead you off. We will have we will talk to our guy Reed Vial from down at McNeese. Speaking of basketball, what's going on down there with the summer and Will Wade's basketball camp down in Lake Charles. We'll also get you set up for if you want to make some travel plans to Orlando. Remember our friends over at Mr. Fun's Travel have a link out there for a trip to Orlando that include travel and stay with Ramo and the crew. So make sure and tune into Mr. Fun's Travel. Come back with us, hour 2, Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by R&B Builders.
Damn it, now my YouTube is all Brent Musburger calls.
Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacey, Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team, make a difference. Bet, let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, powered and built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Get in touch with Rhett and his crew at rmb-builders.com. Big summer coming up down in Lake Charles as Will Wade basketball camp's getting underway. They will be starting coming up next week, I believe, on June 12th. We got a link for you, willwadebasketballcamps.com, and we also got Reed Vial here in studio to talk about it with us from down in Lake Charles. Made the trip over this morning. What's up, bro? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jordy. Appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, man. Tell me what it's been like transitioning from, kind of going down there and seeing Coach Wade at McNeese and getting the buzz going down in Lake Charles.
Yeah, man. It's been super exciting. Like, we've got our guys from LSU that are coming with us. We've got our guys getting in this week. All of our players are coming in today. Filed in yesterday. We're going to get started up on Monday, and then in 2 Mondays from now, we'll have our camps getting started, which is sweet because Coach Wade hasn't had a camp since VCU.
Right.
Never had him at LSU, and then we have all of our staff from LSU, which is super cool.
That is cool, man. So what's it been like in the short time that he's been on the job and trying to create this buzz and recruiting, transfer portal? You cleaned up. You guys got
yeah,
a good
man.
job.
I mean, you guys know how he rocks. I mean, he hit the ground running as soon as he got there. Louisiana's nothing new to him. He loves this place. We're just right down the street from where we were. And just being at McNeese and doing what we can for that community, that school, everything that's happened after the hurricane. Like, we're super excited to be there. And, like, if we can do it through basketball, which we're blessed to do, that's what we're here for. Absolutely. And Coach Wade's going to kill it however he can. And he's hired his people that he's familiar with, and we're ready to rock.
Basketball camps start on June 12th, and it sounds like it's an invitation to the state to come and take it in. What's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, the invitations to the boot, whoever wants to come. We've partnered with Best Western, discounted prices to come in. We've got billboards in Lake Charles, billboards in Baton Rouge. We'd love to get the Baton Rouge community involved. Lafayette, obviously, Beaumont, whoever can come. Like I said, it's the first camp Coach Wade's done since VCU after they went to the Final Four. So it's something pretty special. We were going to start it up here during COVID. Obviously, couldn't do it then. Yeah. And I just appreciate him letting me and my buddy Nick Flory, who's the director of ops, and Brady Jones, who's the video coordinator who came from LSU as well. We're all putting it on. And then obviously we got our guy Will Stout. We're glad he's a part and he's on our team.
No doubt. You already dropped a hype video.
Yeah, man.
He moves fast.
Will moves quick. It's funny because a lot of people don't know Will and I have been knowing each other our whole lives. Like, we met each other at LSU, but actually my dad dated his mom for like our whole life. So we grew up together. And we've been doing this for a long time.
That's cool,
yeah.
Man. That's cool. Makes the story a lot cooler.
Yeah.
What's up? So the camp is going to run, is it 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. So it's June 12th through 15th and then 26th through 29th. It's going to be K through 9 for girls and boys. If we had enough time, we'd do some team camps and everything, maybe something next year. But we're just trying to get the community involved as quick as possible. And we figured we'd get the kids in, let the parents come in, meet all the new guys. Hell, I'll be honest, I even met the guys. They're all coming in today.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. You hopping right back.
Yeah, so I'm headed there right after this. So.
Dude, the arena is incredible.
Dude, the arena is, when I walked in with Coach Wade, he called me and I got there. I was like, goodness gracious, this arena is
hidden gem.
It's beautiful. It's, they redid it right before the hurricane. Then the hurricane hit, and then they redid, they fixed up a couple of things that they probably would have done to begin with. And every time I walk in, I'm like, man, this is freaking awesome. I told Coach Wade, it's like a mini Auburn. If you've been to Auburn, it's like that, and I think Auburn's perfect.
It is. It's the best arena. I mean, it is a true home court advantage. Remember these links. You can sign up online at willwadebasketballcamps.com. It's willwadebasketballcamps.com. A lot of familiar faces down there if you're from Baton Rouge. Reed Vial and the crew, as he said, Will Stout's down there doing some video work. They've got the staff down there. Nick Flory's the U-High kid who was on staff at LSU. His mom, of course, Coach Fran Flory's was the volleyball coach for a long time down here. So there's a lot of local blood down there at McNeese. Putting on the Will Wade basketball camps that start next Monday on June 12th. Remember, online, willwadebasketballcamps.com. willwadebasketballcamps.com. Season will be here before before you know it, right?
Man,
it's crazy how quick it goes.
It'll be here so quick, and as soon as we get our schedule, it's going to be a fun one.
Man, I appreciate you stopping in, and thank y'all for including us. Whatever we can do to support the program, we're all in, man. The T-shirts came out fantastic. Is there any way to get some gear?
Man, we actually just got
such a slut for gear, dude.
Man, we just got some.
Well,
gear.
I got mine.
I got gear waiting on us there. But yeah, man, we'll do what we can do. Obviously, whatever we can do to help you.
I didn't mean it like that. I kind of did.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
This is beautiful.
We're in charge now, man. So we're gonna get creative as possible. Coach is letting us do whatever we want.
Found a workaround, G-string. Reed, great to see you, bro.
I appreciate you, Jordy.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you guys so much.
Tell the coach what's up, man.
Yeah,
Will Wade basketball camps at McNeese. WillWadeBasketballCamps.com. WillWadeBasketballCamps.com. Online. We'll be back with more of the show right after this. Built by R&B Builders. Without further ado, Coach Will Wade.
Louisiana, you've welcomed my family and I since day one. We're ecstatic to be in cowboy country. We're looking forward to engaging with the community this summer, and that's why we're hosting our basketball camps here at the Legacy Center. Myself, my staff, and our players can't wait to meet everybody and engage with everybody in the community. Everyone in the boot is welcome, and we can't wait to see you in June.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
they point out. It's in your face. All right, welcome back here to a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Good to see our friends, man. Willie Stout in studio this morning. Reed Vial and the crew from McNeese Basketball down here pumping the Will Wade basketball camps that start on June 12th. If you're looking for a spot to get down there, if you're from Lake Charles or in or around that area, you're listening over in East Texas, and you're looking for a spot, remember, get in touch with Will Wade Basketball Camps, willwadebasketballcamps.com. Willwadebasketballcamps.com is where you can find them online, so check those out. Appreciate him coming by, and as we told you in the earlier hour, and we told you in the first hour, our friends over at Mr. Fun's Travel has put together a trip for Orlando, as they have partnered with their Total Sports Travel once again to bring you a first-class trip where they are going to handle the details and allow you to sit back and relax and enjoy yourself. You can join LSU fans, fellow LSU fans, at the Hilton in Orlando, located about right next to all the attractions of Orlando. If you want to book your opportunity today, we're going to post a link that we're going to put out on Twitter that you can get a link to the game that includes air transportation, hotels, 3-night accommodation, travel to and from the game. So it'll be a great trip. Another one provided by Mr. Fun's Travel. That'll be MrFunsTravel.com. MrFunsTravel.com is how you can learn more. So make sure and pay attention to that. And if you would like to make that game, make sure
what a heavy hitter.
Take that one in. It's a great opportunity for if you're looking to get away with the kids right before school. It's right there on that long weekend. It'll be on a Sunday night again by itself. So check that one out at MrFunsTravel.com. All right, so we talked a lot about the LSU baseball regional that starts today, 2 o'clock. As we said, LSU still yet to announce who they're going to start. That'll probably be about 45 minutes prior to first pitch when Jay Johnson's got to insert his lineup card. Will we find out who is going to get the ball for LSU? I predict it'll be Thatcher Hurd. And, you know, the way that I have kind of had the vantage point of this last 3 weeks, and Lloyd, you tell me if this is off. You've got more of a pulse on this team than I do with your relationship and mic'd up and that show and them talking about it.
Hit me.
But I just believe that the Thursday night in Athens with Thatcher Hurd could be a real pivotal point that you look back if LSU's able to cross the finish line here and they're able to finish this run and you know, take it all the way and win the championship and, you know, get to Omaha. And there's a lot that has to be done before that. But you know, I mean, we feel like LSU is constructed as one of the, you know, they're one of the top teams out there. They're the 5 seed. It was announced yesterday that Paul Skeens is the National Player of the Year. It was announced yesterday afternoon. They've got 3 first-team All-Americans in Skeens, Dylan Cruz, and Tommy White. You know, this is a team that's built to win in the postseason. But I think that the pivotal moment that you could be able to point back to if they're able to, like I said, finish this thing out would be that Thursday night in Athens when Thatcher Hurd got the ball, you know, with a 5-2 lead after Skeens had, you know, pitched, you know, dominant again. He had pitched, you know, solid again, and they hand Hurd the ball with a 3-run lead late in the game, and, you know, he gives up the lead. They force extra innings. Jay Johnson doesn't give up on him and sticks with him. I've heard Skip Bertman say many a times that, you know, within the season, you would sacrifice a loss for a potential win, right? Where, you know, you may have a Friday night, you may be in a situation where you'd like to win the game in the moment, but, you know, you learn some things about your team in a loss, and it looked like that's what Jay Johnson was accepting, that he told Thatcher Hurd, hey, man, you got us into this mess. You're either going to get us out of this mess or it's going to be on your shoulders while we lose the game.
I think that was the most, like you said, I mean, that's how I feel as well. And you highlighted kind of everything that I would hit on because up until that point, Thatcher Hurd was a dead man walking. The last time he had gone more than 4 innings was, the Georgia game was May 18th. The last time he did that was against Nichols, April 25th. So it was almost a month since he had gone more than 4 innings. And for, like you said, for Jay to be, it was finally the time to not bail him out. Like to see, okay, you've got yourself into a little bit of a mess. You gave up a 3-run inning to where the game, it felt like, was in hand. And then the idea of the bullpen always giving up leads or giving up games was rearing its ugly head. And you know what? Jay put his foot down and said, here, this is your game, Thatcher. I trust you to do it. Either way, it doesn't matter. Because at some point, that's a vote of confidence. It's not I'm leaving you out there because I want to see you get rocked. It's like I want to see what you're made of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a huge vote of confidence if you're Thatcher. Like, I can earn myself back on this team if I step up right here and drag nuts and get 3 outs and carry. He carried him for 4 more innings after that. That's the most impressive part.
He made some enormous pitches, too.
Yes.
I mean, like some pitches that you could tell he carried over into his next start at South Carolina, which you could only hope that he would carry over into his next start that potentially could be today.
That's what I would think, because I was going to reference the South Carolina game. He goes 5 1/3 again. And so you're starting to see this ramp up of Thatcher Hurd where, okay, maybe it's a little bit like Poche. You remember where he would get himself in trouble early, and then after the first inning, he was nails. He became LSU's all-time leading winner. But there's like a little bit of almost like a grace period for him where the way that LSU's offense is constructed, we're okay with giving up some runs, but we can't give up the big inning. And that's what he was doing by continually to walk people, put people on base, and then give up a hit. And then it's merry-go-round season where, all right, we're not even out the first. You've thrown 35 pitches and we have no outs. Like, so I have to get somebody up because you're not going to, at this rate, you're not getting out. You're not going to see the 3rd inning, and that sets your whole staff back. So if you're Thatcher, or if you're coach, I'm sorry, you have to kind of roll with that. Okay, it's not going to be pretty early, but if we can get him to settle in, Thatcher Hurd can become the 3rd guy that you need. And if LSU is going to make a run in a national championship, a run to Omaha, that's exactly who you need. I hate to put it all on him because obviously other people have to step up, but there's a one piece of the puzzle missing, it feels like, absolutely. And it could be him.
And what happens if you have him is that it's not all on him, but if you have him, it becomes more of
palatable,
more confidence within that. The thing that I was worried about with LSU the last 3 weeks of the season was that they were leaking oil, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they were coming down the stretch limping. You know, for as much as they had, been the bully for the first 8 weeks of the season, and no matter where you put them, whether it was in College Station or you had them at home versus Arkansas and Tennessee, that they were going to respond. They were going to take your punch, and then they were going to kick your ass, right? I mean, that's kind of the reputation that they had built through the first 8 weeks of the season. The last 3 weeks of the season, I mean, they became the new kid at school.
Just getting bullied.
They were just getting pushed around and picked on, and, people were, taking it. I mean, the Mississippi State series, I got to be honest. I am an honest bandwagon fan. I mean, the first 8 weeks of the season, nobody was pumping LSU baseball harder than me. But, I mean, once I saw that Mississippi State series, I thought out loud, like, there's no way this team can make this run, right? I mean, like, for as pushed around as they were this weekend compared to who they were, just 2 weeks prior to that, you're like, what am I even looking at?
Well, that's when the bullpen thing started to really become an issue because LSU was up and LSU 10 runs them in the first game. They look like they're going to 10 run them in the second game, and then you lose the second and third game. And it might have been they would have 10 run them in the third game. I'm not sure, but regardless, they gave up leads in the last 2 games, and that's when the momentum started of, okay, if we don't have a third starter, who's going to go in? Who's the bullpen? That's when it became focused on the bullpen as who's going to be the guy that steps up. And you kind of found something through this whole process. And baseball is a roller coaster. It's never a straight line to the top. Like as hot as they started, and this is what we were talking about on Mic'd Up. There's ebbs and flows to a season, right? You can be that hot, but you're not going to sustain. That's not sustainable. And even if it is, you want what happened to LSU to happen when it did, because eventually you're going to face some adversity. You don't want that to come in a regional. You don't want that to come. The reason they were able to handle Hoover the way that they did is because they had already gotten through the toughest test of the season. They'd already been kicked when they were down. They responded. You saw how they were able to get up off the mat, and then they're able to secure a top 8 seed. And then you talked about them leaking oil. They were tired. They've been going through it.
Yeah.
And so that's why you saw the way that they played at Hoover in terms of not really going for the throat and saying, look, we're good. We established what we needed to do here. We're going to host. Now it's on to the real season, which it feels like that's all Jay has been looking forward to. That's all the team has kind of been focused on is get us through the regular season because we got bigger fish to fry.
Andrew Messina says, I would be disappointed if Coach Jay Johnson started Skeens tonight. Is there a scenario where he starts Paul Skeens tonight?
No, I don't think so. You don't need to burn your ace, like literally. There's a strategy to it because Tulane is better than people think. I know you look at the record at 19-40 and it's, you should 10 run them. But when you look at some of the quotes from whether it be Godwin or people within their conference that they've played, that Godwin said that's the best 19-win team I've ever seen. They played them earlier in the year and they took one from them. Tulane was able to win a game and then they go into extras in the other two. And so they're not a bad team. ECU was a game away from hosting a regional. They've played in the, Tulane has just happened to be on the wrong side of every one-run game that they were in. And now that they're able to put together a little bit of a run, that's the thing that makes you nervous is they're hot at the right time. Like they don't know what way's up. You're just playing with confidence because you keep winning. And so they have no reason to think that they're going to lose tonight. But with that said, you don't shove Skeens down their throat and then you have to figure out the next 2 days. You figure out today against a team that you can pretty much rely on your offense. If LSU is able to score the way that they're supposed to, you can win 13-9. Who cares? Win. And then you get Skeens, and then now you're set up 2-0, and you're heading into the weekend looking pretty good. That's all you're trying to do. That's why you don't burn Skeens right now. I know there's a world where you guarantee yourself a victory, quote-unquote, with Skeens tonight or this afternoon, but you save Skeens for the bright lights Saturday where you get that feeling in your stomach where, okay, it's on and we got our best guy going. You have to play kind of the momentum of the series. And like I said, there's a reason I think that they went with the afternoon game today, and that's to throw Thatcher, make it not that big of an environment, and let Skeens go eat for a 7 o'clock game at Alex Box where the lights are the brightest.
Look, I have been steadfast on there's no world or scenario that exists in which Paul Skeens throws the opening game of the regional just because of the setup, right? But, the closer it does get, I wonder if the train of thought for Jay Johnson and LSU baseball is, I'm reading up on this regional, and Oregon State's down 2 pitchers. 2 of their top pitchers. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're pitching like a scrub tonight against Sam Houston, who's throwing their ace.
Sam Houston has a pretty good chance to be able to win today or tonight. It's not. Everybody's been saying Oregon State. It is not nearly as locked up as people think it is.
Well, Sam Houston's going to throw their ace today.
And Oregon State's down, like you said, down 2.
Their third starter, Oregon State's third starter, and LSU is a team that for as much as we are claiming that they have turned the mental corner over the last couple of weeks, I don't know that for sure, right? Like, I don't know for sure.
You'll find out a lot today.
You'll find out a lot today. I think if you put Skeens out there and go run somebody, you can maybe hit that confidence home with your team inside the locker room. Also looking forward to that, whether Sam Houston or Oregon State wins tonight, you're either down to Sam Houston's second guy or you're down to Oregon State's fourth guy, who, if I'm going Ty Floyd versus any of those two, I'm feeling good about Floyd. And now you're up 2 going into Sunday where a team's got to beat you twice. And, you still have this little bit of question on whether or not who you are. But I wonder if Hurd's done enough that Jay Johnson says, Wes Johnson says, hey, if it's a deciding game, and he's up 2,
I trust him to go out there
and close this thing out.
No, I see. I get the logic, and I would almost go the other way where if he throws Skeens today, the rest of the team looks around and is like, he thinks we need to throw Skeens today to beat Tulane. Like, you don't believe? Like, you don't think we got the shit, coach? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's not the consensus thought in the locker room because Tulane, they have a team ERA above 7. So Jay Johnson, offensive-minded coach, we talk a lot about pitching, because that's, last year it was the defense. This year it's the pitching. Whatever flaw that LSU may have, it gets magnified by 10 for LSU baseball for some reason. People just love to focus on the negative here. But if you're LSU, you go out and don't forget what got you here. Like, sure, it's nice to have Skeens because he's been the player of the year. But don't forget, you also have 2 other All-Americans with Dylan Cruz and Tommy White, and Trey Morgan's not a scrub. You can go down the lineup where there's not really a hole in it. You got Travinsky swinging a toothpick out there. It looks like everything he touches, it goes over the wall, and he knows it. Like, you have to trust the reason that you were the number 1 team in the country for quite a long stretch, because you're able to score some runs. If you pull up a team that's posting up 7 every game, we should get 14. That's what your mentality should be. Like, they're going to throw cookies at us.
I think he's going to start Skeens.
I don't think he is. I know that cook. I know that look. And then when you think you're cooking or you're conjuring something up in your brain, that's not going to happen. There's no way. Even if he did go another route than Thatcher, I would put more credence into Ty Floyd, where you got a solid starter that you feel like you can definitely win with. And there's no real question marks like there is with Thatcher, and you still get to save the bullet with Skeens. Then you put Thatcher in that scenario that you painted earlier.
I'm changing my mind. I'm going out on an island. I'm saying that Paul Skeens is starting today.
Put it on the poll and see how many people.
I've mind tricked myself. I've done this.
So if Jordy's coaching,
I was on Thatcher Hurd all week.
And then
I told Thatcher last night it's his rock.
Yeah.
You're getting to start, bro.
You can't do this to the boys.
It's all good. It's a Rick Vaughn to the back of the bus type meeting. When Ricky's making his way to the back of the bus, he thinks that Lou Brown's about to tell him that he's starting when he tells him that he's going to go with the old man, Harris. And Vaughn just has his life sucked out of him. Then he goes in the bullpen, and he's the biggest guy of the game. He comes in late and strikes out.
Yeah, but in this scenario, Rick Vaughn would be Paul Skeens. See? These are the
I was just giving you the scenario.
Yes, I see it. But the way, like I mentioned this earlier, but the way that Jay has talked about the year and the way that they've handled everything up to this point, this is not the time to change course. You don't hit the team with the shocker. They don't need the momentum. I could see it being like a raw moment, if it's like a Banksy moment in Mighty Ducks, but you don't need him right now. Save that for tomorrow. Go,
Coach. I've been there all week.
You don't always get to you got to buy him dinner first.
You heard it here first. Paul Skeens, your starting pitcher for the opening game of the LSU Regional versus Tulane.
This is false. This is fake news.
When you see it at 2:00.
It's not going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised.
Know where you heard it first. Don't at me.
Oh, yeah, just go run away.
No. When he starts. When he starts.
I keep my receipts. But if you want to look super into it, the highlight video that they dropped, the last person they showed was Ty Floyd warming up. So I don't know if that's a little nugget if you're paying attention.
Little mental game for you out there.
But like I said,
Skeens going at 2. All right, we're gonna talk to Nathan Velasquez coming up here. Carmouche, the local kid from U High, going for Tulane.
I'm sure they have a lot of film on him.
Wouldn't work out. All right, we'll be back. More of the show right after this. Built by R&B Builders.
How nervous is he?
Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacey, Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference. Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
All right, welcome back here, Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by R&B Builders. If you've listened all week, we've told you that we believe Thatcher Hurd is going to start today. I have gone full 180 here on game day. Spun on a dime. I think LSU's going with their ace. They're going to throw Paul Skeens at 2 o'clock. I've got no inside info, just following my gut here, people.
This is like a coach going into a playoff game like, we're going to one-side's kick.
No, this is Les Miles, January 12th.
Mm-hmm.
This is
going Jefferson.
Absolutely. Change the game plan. We're running spread, boys.
Remember that
Spread them out.
Remember everything we worked on all
Jet sweep,
month?
Ruben Randall, Russell Shepard at quarterback.
That's what he should have done.
Sounded good.
Tyrann Mathieu, maybe get him a little offense.
throw everything.
You know what?
Him.
Scratch that. Forget that. Let's try to play him like we did in November.
Still got this toss dive in the speed option.
You could put Mettenberger in.
All right, Nathan Velasquez, our good friend, is here with us every Friday. It's always great to catch up with Nate. He's up in New York City. Should be a beautiful time in the city. It is springtime, early summer, which I don't know. Nate, has the heat hit yet?
The heat has hit, but it's that type of thing where everyone here complains about, oh, it's so hot. Oh, the humidity's finally getting here. It's unbearable. Goodness gracious. But it honestly doesn't. I mean, if you're from Louisiana, everyone tells me it's your superpower. You don't actually get affected by it because it's like the humidity's nothing up here. The heat's nothing up here. It is wonderful. Yeah, exactly.
All right,
I did. I voted for Thatcher in the poll. I don't know. That kind of sounded more like what I think is probably going to go on.
Well, you're going to be wrong.
I don't know, but I'm not the one with the show.
Yeah, you're going to be wrong, Nate. You're going to be wrong.
Nate has infinite sports wisdom. Obviously,
one of the great runs in television came to an end here over the last couple of weeks. Nathan, I couldn't wait to talk to you about your reviews on Succession. What did you think?
No spoilers.
So, yeah, overall, in terms of the final episode came out on Sunday. It was 90 minutes of the venom, the anger, the cruel jokes, the twists. It was, I think, probably one of the best endings in the last 20 years of a show. Every podcast, every think piece on the show says that it landed the plane. Everyone uses that expression, and it did. It 100% landed the plane. It is one of those great things that you want from any movie, show, book you're reading. You have absolutely no idea what is going to happen when you start the last episode, but when it ends, it all makes perfect sense. You're like, how in the world did I not? Of course this is what's going to happen. And then you look back, you start kind of looking back through the whole show. This feels like one of the few shows where they might have actually had the whole thing planned out from the very beginning.
Wow.
Some shows just they're successful, they're very good, but you kind of give it a little bit of leeway and like, oh, didn't they say that this would happen and they never really followed that up? Like it didn't really, some loose ends that you kind of expect. That's fine. We don't need to tie everything up. This one doesn't necessarily tie everything up, but whenever you're looking back through everything that happened, every major thing that happened, it's all feeding into where it's going in the end. Just feels very, very satisfying. I think in terms of where I'm placing shows, I don't think I've got the ranking down, but I think it's definitely in my top 3. Sopranos, Mad Men, and Breaking Bad were top 3 for me. I think this one's going to kick Breaking Bad out for me, and I'm still not sure of the top 3. Sopranos is number 1. I don't think this passes Sopranos, but this is very, very close. It might end up being number 2. It's one of the best things. It feels like it's got that energy of The Godfather. People say that the show is somewhat Shakespearean. I think it taps into that type of thing that The Godfather tapped into, which is it's about power, it's about family, it's about if family isn't necessarily giving you everything that you need, then you seek out this power, this cruel, destructive power, and it kind of starts eating everybody alive. It's kind of that's the story of Michael Corleone. That's the story of all of these characters in succession, and I'm just happy. I'm happy that they landed the plane. That I started going back through the show, and yeah, it's one of the best shows, I think, at least of the last decade. It might be stretching it to say the last 20 years, but at least the last decade, I think this is probably the number 1 show.
So I'm on season 2, episode 4. I started off I banged through the first season, then it didn't come back, and I didn't want to say I forgot about it, but I wasn't really there yet. If I'm watching it with your revisionist history, should I be start paying attention now? Because I'm just watching it to watch it. I don't really care who gets what. I'm just there for the Romulus jokes.
I think if you're there for the first time watching it, don't just enjoy it. Obviously, I don't think I really got invested in the show until the end of the second season. That was when it kind of clicked for me, and it felt like this show was operating on another level. Because the first season is, I think you realize after you've seen the whole show, if you like it, you see the hints are being placed throughout season 1, throughout season 2. But season 1, going into it, it's a lot of jokes. Logan is one of the funnest characters I think that's ever been put on TV. So it's just kind of fun seeing him chew the scenery in every episode where he's not, almost comatose.
Yeah.
Season 1, I feel like you're exactly fuck off. And also, I love that he's in the McDonald's ads.
Yes, he is the voice of McDonald's.
He's the voice of the new McDonald's ads.
Yes, he is.
Wholesome.
Bada.
So I think exactly, it's so funny. But season 1 is solid. Season 2, I think it gets much more momentum going on. But end of season 2, that's really where it turns into a bit of a rocket. And season 3 is just heart pounding. And then season 4 is actually the only season where every episode takes place in one day. And it really feels like that last season you're in a rat race. Everyone's in a rat race. Who's going to take control? What's it going to look like? It's just scorched earth. The last season. It's really, really good.
Like a season of 24 with Jack Bauer, where the ticking clock.
Yeah, the ticking clock. 24. That was a time that I was all in on that show whenever it first came out. I guess it does feel a little bit like that. I haven't revisited it, but I feel like it might be nice to revisit Jack Bauer after all these years.
And the daughter's always running amok. He's got to go save her 4 of the 8 seasons.
Yeah, no one uses the bathroom. Chloe, his assistant, has always got that weird
sourpuss
voice that just
looks like she sucks on lemons.
No.
Yeah, not again.
A little bit.
Nate, tell me what's going on with Martin Scorsese. He's on a roll, right?
He is on a roll. It's one of those weird things. I feel like we talk about Tarantino a lot whenever I come on here. But Tarantino's got this thing where he says that he wants to stop making movies soon because whenever a director gets closer to 70, they just don't put out good work anymore. And he's literally being disproven by Martin Scorsese, who right now is having kind of not even a resurgence because he's never had a dip, but the movies that he's putting out right now, like really from The Departed, which he made when he was in his late 60s, coming out now with Killers of the Flower Moon. This thing is getting insane reviews. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. It's about how in the early 1920s, members of the Osage Native American tribe were murdered after a ton of oil was in their land. Leonardo DiCaprio plays, the name is Ernest, who's an agent with the newly formed FBI who's there to investigate. And it's one of those stories where it seems like the deeper that he digs into what's going on, these murders, which reports are saying these are grisly, some of the most violent stuff Scorsese's put on screen, it just turns into a web of deceit and lies. And Scorsese's just one of these people later on in his career, I would say with something like Silence, which was really kind of digging into the idea of what does it mean to believe in God, what does it mean to be religious. He then goes on and makes The Irishman, which is about living with the consequences of the life that you choose to live, and just ends on this incredibly sour, sad, profound note that, you know, collaborating with Robert De Niro reaches kind of this strange place that he's never done before. And Scorsese's even said that he feels like he's only just now understood what movies can do, but he feels like he doesn't have any more time to do it because he's in like his... But he's still cranking out some incredible pieces of work. And from what the reports are saying, Killers of the Flower Moon is probably going to be one of his most mature movies, one of his more violent movies, and probably one of his deeper movies. Not necessarily going to be boring in that respect, but just something that's kind of like Scorsese's lived a long life in the movies, and it sounds like he's now kind of reckoning with some stuff and actually putting it on the screen in an interesting way.
From Scorsese to Wes Anderson, he's in a different genre as well, right?
Yeah, I felt like Wes Anderson's had I love Wes Anderson, one of my favorite directors. He was one of the first directors that I liked when I started getting into movies. He's got a new movie coming out this month, Asteroid City. I'm kind of in a weird feeling with his movies as of late. I feel like Grand Budapest Hotel was the last thing he made that really felt like he was pushing his career, pushing his style, doing something new, innovative. Then he did the stop motion dog movie, which was fine. I hated French Dispatch. I couldn't get into that at all for some reason. But hopefully the movie comes out next month is good. It's got a stellar cast: Steve Carell, Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson, Will Arnett. Everyone is in the movie. And he announced now the next thing he's going to make is a horror movie. A horror movie based on some of Roald Dahl's more adult material. And if you've read Roald Dahl's children's books, they're pretty dark, and I haven't like adult material, but apparently that's also very, very creepy. So I feel like maybe this is the type of turn that Wes Anderson might need to kind of get his career shooting in a different trajectory, which would be nice. I feel like there's been a little lackluster as of late, and I mean, there was that SNL sketch from like 15 years ago where they made fun of Wes Anderson saying that, you know, him putting his style in a horror movie. So it's nice that it'll finally happen. I don't know if he'll be able to pull it off, but it sounds exciting.
Hashtag Ask Nate. Andrew Messina wants to know, how good does Nate think Oppenheimer is going to be?
There was actually a story that broke like just before we started this segment. Tom Cruise right now is apparently furious because Oppenheimer has paid to have like all IMAX theaters in the country for like 2 weeks. And Mission Impossible is going to come out in that time. So Tom Cruise is apparently going to Warner Brothers, showing them Mission Impossible, showing Mission Impossible to the heads of the theaters, being like, please don't let Christopher Nolan have all of the IMAX theaters for 2 weeks. We need a few of them. But I think Oppenheimer is probably going to be one of the biggest movies of this year, maybe of the last 2 years. It feels like a movie that we don't get very often, which is very character, like singular character driven drama, and done with a very high level of style. They've talked about this. This is the first movie where everything is shot with IMAX cameras. If you go and watch a movie in IMAX, the screen will kind of change sometimes because the IMAX cameras will be used for like the sweeping vistas or for the wartime scenes or for the car chases. They actually developed special IMAX film and special cameras so that the entire thing is filmed. And they said that the level of detail that you get just in the cinematography on this one is going to be at a level that a movie's not been filmed at before. Christopher Nolan always is kind of pushing ideas of how to make a movie seem different to people in the theater. And it sounds like with the story as well, the structure of it is going to be a type of drama that, kind of like Dunkirk, is done with that experimental type of way that means like we don't know what we're going to get, but it's going to probably be one of the biggest movies of the last 2 years. And yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I don't think there's any reason to not be hyped for that movie almost above all others.
Cruise has got enough weight in Hollywood he can block that, right? I mean, like,
he might be able to. I don't know, but I mean, two of the most hard-headed people in Hollywood are Tom Cruise and Christopher Nolan. If you remember throughout COVID, like put all movies on hold. Like, we're not putting movies out this year. And Christopher Nolan was still like, no, Tenet will release to empty theaters. We will show this to 10,000 people, but the movie's going in theaters when I say it's going in theaters. I mean, Christopher Nolan against Tom Cruise, that would be, it sounds like a Succession scene if they're both on a conference call telling each other to fuck off.
That'd be great. That'd be great. He's the 5-minute critic, Nathan Velasquez. He's here every Friday. Enjoy the weekend, Nate. We'll see you next week.
Y'all too.
All right, man. There he is, Nathan Velasquez. Check him out on YouTube, 5-minute critic, on Twitter. He's all over the place on social media. Get out to the box today to go watch Paul Skeens throw. He'll be there at 2 o'clock. He'll be the starter for the Ace for the Tigers.
10-run rule?
Allegedly.
Doesn't exist.
Does it not?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Golly, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
it'd be great if you could use him tomorrow.
That's what I'd say. Then there might be some credence to your theory if they 10-run him with Skeens and he throws 4 innings and throws 50 pitches. Bring him back on Sunday.
Carl Dunn, hashtag asked Nate his views on the regionals today and who you should start. Nate voted on Thatcher Hurd. I told Nate he was wrong. Carl, have a great weekend.
It's sad that 26% of people like you have their ear in this poll.
What's our breakdown, Stewie?
74%. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thatcher Hurd, 74%. Ty Floyd, 12%. Javid Coleman, 10%. Paul Skeens, 3%.
3?
3%.
Hey, it's a lonely island over here, boys. Just wait until 2 o'clock. Sunshine will be here.
Plant the flag.
Remember our boys from the Will Wade camp stopped by. Reed Vial and crew. Willie Stout, good to see the legend here this morning as well. WillWadeBasketballCamps.com, WillWadeBasketballCamps.com. They begin next week on June 12th for 2 weeks over there in Lake Charles. The arena is fantastic. If you have not seen it, you got to go check it out. Saddle up. Go down there and see them down in Lake Charles. We will talk to you on Monday morning. Have a great weekend.